following is a paid advertisement program provided by Premier Investments and Wealth Management. An airing of the program is not to be considered an endorsement or recommendation. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts, guests and callers and not necessarily of KFXR or iHeartMedia. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments and Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide tax advice. Please consult your tax professional. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal.
The views and opinions of this show are those of Premier Investments and Wealth Management, and their guests alone do not reflect any other entities. The information in the following program should not be construed as an offer to sell and is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax advisor or legal counsel. The statements in this program do not reflect those of Premier Investments and Wealth Management or LPL Financial or its affiliates. Hello there and welcome to the Premier Investments and Wealth Management Financial Program with Roger Abel. My name is Doug Wagner. Across from me, Roger Abel, AIF. He's the owner and wealth advisor at Premier Investments and Wealth Management with over 20 years of experience in the financial services industry. He's an accredited investment fiduciary. We call him the Big Kahuna, Roger Abel. Hello there.
Doug, thanks for doing the show again this week.
Awesome. It's always awesome to be here. Appreciate your time, and I know that everybody else appreciates the time and the wisdom that you lay out there. You can get a lot of wisdom as well over at premieriwm.com. Just open up your favorite browser, whether it be on your phone, your tablet, desktop, laptop. premieriwm.com, click on Get Started, and once you're there, answer the questions. You will be rewarded with what's called the Premier Vision document, sort of a one-page My Score for what you're looking for. Are you ready for retirement? Are you ready for your kids' college education? Where are you along the way? Maybe you've got a dream purchase you want to make in the future along with you and your spouse. If you want to get ready for that, premieriwm.com. It's my friends over at Premier Investments and Wealth Management. You know what, Roger, I'm one of these people where I love what I do. And every day, if you love what you do, it's not really work. So I'm willing to just keep on working as long as they'll have me there. There's some people that say, I want to retire at this age or that age or the other age. But if you're planning to work forever, you're saying, hey, don't forget about financial planning, because even though you're making this money, you're going to need to make sure that you are constantly having your money make money for you.
I hear it a lot. I'm in the same camp as you, Doug. Mm-hmm. I don't really want to retire.
Right.
And I think you don't want to retire because we really like what we do.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you think through it a little bit, most people can't work forever. Mm-hmm. It's not really, it won't be because we don't want to. It'll be because we just can't. Right. We have a health problem. We have a health event. And Elias and I have talked about this for a long time, that when someone tells us that they want to work forever, mm-hmm. a lot of times we see this as the reason they don't want to save any money.
It's
they want to
sacrifice
everything
off.
Yeah, well, I'll work forever so then I don't have to save any money. I can spend it all today. And I've heard it, and I've seen it, and I've watched it, and it's just poor planning. Mm-hmm. There was a movement, a really big movement, probably 2 or 3 years ago. I think you remember us doing a show about the FIRE movement.
Yeah.
Which means, financial independence, retire early, and how all these people are trying to save 50, 60, 70% of their paychecks so they can retire at 35 and 40 and 45. And, I said back then I didn't think that would end well. Mm-hmm. And I already have seen articles where people have employed that, retired early, and now they're going back to work.
Yeah.
Because they forgot about inflation.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I saved enough, but now I forgot about inflation. One thing that I like to talk about with people who tell me they're going to work forever, mm-hmm. how about you figure out what age you actually want to be financially independent and really start to reframe their thinking. I mean, you want to work forever.
Yeah.
But I know you're planning on a specific date that you're going to be financial independent. as I am as well.
Right.
My wife said, hey, what's the date you're going to walk away? I said, never. But I'll plan on being financially independent at this time because my wife didn't want us to fall into the proverbial trap of we didn't save any money for retirement. So I'm doing exactly what I talk to people about. 62 is my financial independence date. And I put a lot of thought behind it.
Are you ready to take control of your financial future? The financial professionals at Premier Investments and Wealth Management are the guides you've been looking for. Picture this, a financial plan tailored exclusively to you. Our team of experienced professionals will work closely with you to understand your aspirations and develop a personalized roadmap to get you there. Whether you're dreaming of retirement, buying a new home, or sending your kids to college, we've got the tools to give you confidence in your financial life. We'll help you navigate saving and investing, retirement income, and tax strategies. Our job is not just about making money, it's about helping our clients make smart choices. We'll provide you with the tools and knowledge to confidently steer your financial ship toward a brighter future. Are you ready to embark on your financial journey with confidence? Visit www.premieriwm.com to get started. Your financial future awaits.
You know what? It's Olympics qualifying and Olympic season, so there's a lot of it. You see the track and field, and what are they doing? They're running through the tape. And then, for me, one of those things is I think of myself running through that tape, and I'm just going to take another hot lap afterwards. I mean, that's what I really think. But what you're saying, though, is that what these people are doing is that they're saying, I'm just going to put off creating a financial plan for the future because I won't need to worry about it because I'm going to retire under 55. But there's a handy little survey that was done recently about the people who said they were going to retire at that age and the percentage of people who actually were able to successfully retire at those ages, Roger.
It's ironic. And a lot of it happens, Doug, because people believe that they're going to be healthy forever. Their mind's going to be there forever, and they can do the type of work forever. So there's a study that's out there. It's the Retirement Confidence Survey.
Okay.
And it said that under age 55, 5% of the people under 55 thought they would retire then. Percent of retirees who actually retired at this age, 14%. Okay. So actually they did better. But here's what's ironic. The people that were 70 who said they were going to never retire, 23% of the people who said they'd never retire, only 6% actually never retired. They retired earlier than that age. So what it shows is that if you looked at this graph and chart we're looking at, what this shows is that people that expected to retire later actually retired sooner, which I think is counterintuitive to most thinking in our industry. We think people are unprepared, so they'll work longer or whatever. This just shows the power of health and aging. And some of this is caused because people need to stop working. Or I'll give you a great example. My parents, they both retired last summer. If you would have asked my dad when you're going to retire 10 years ago, he would have said age 70. That's what he would have told you.
Okay.
He retired at 62. My mom's 66. So we had this discussion. Dad still wanted to work until 70. And I said, well, if you work till 70, mom's 74, mom's 74 and retirement's over. Like the good years are over at 74. It's just a matter of fact. So that's a really good example of someone who said they're going to work forever or till age 70 that knocked out at 62.
Exactly. This is the Premier Investments in Financial Wealth Management Financial Program. Doug Wagner along with Roger Abel on Talk Radio 1190. You can find more about what we're talking about here. The podcast at 1190talkradio.com is where we are. We're talking about this retirement confidence survey from the Employee Benefit Research Institute. And in 2024, this was really interesting to me. You go into the numbers here, and a majority of people were actually pushed into retirement. They didn't opt for it. That was only roughly 40%, but they were pushed in retirement through some mode and mean of not their own.
Well, what happens? Death, disability, employers offer packages.
Yeah.
Go back to my parents. They offer my dad a really nice package.
Yeah.
When you've been somewhere for 40 years, the pay scale has jumped they offered him a nice package to exit early. And then people get tempted to do that. So you're right. That's another reason people do it. But there's another one too. Some people have been so diligent in their savings, even though they maybe didn't have a plan, just diligent savings, that they went and did a financial plan and they realized, whoa, I can retire at 62.
Yeah.
They're stuck in this world that I have to work until I get Social Security. My parents were that way. They thought they had to work until they got Social Security and they couldn't retire before them. And we just showed them, hey, this is how you do it. You're able to go have confidence and make this work. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people too. They believe they have to work and get the largest guaranteed check from the government they possibly can. And then they sit down with somebody and work through the numbers and work through their goals and figure out what's important to them and how all this is going to work together. And they get some confidence that they can go be really successful in retirement.
It really works well when you put it this way. Roger Abel with me, Doug Wagner, and it's premieriwm.com is the website you need to go check out as far as what they have. You can download information. There's plenty of information that's up there, blogs, vlogs, and like I said, downloadable information. But one of the things that I learned from you all at Premier Investments in Wealth Management is that there's a psychological portion of retirement that, there's a lot of people who work in the industry that all they're looking at is the numbers and the ROI and all that stuff. They don't take the time to get to know the person behind the retirement, because there's a psychological portion to retirement as well that goes along with this, that if it's not part of the financial package that you're putting together, things can go haywire pretty quickly.
I think the psychological part of it is probably as important or more important than the money. It really is. There's a variety of reasons that people actually want to work longer.
Right.
And I think when you hear someone say, I want to work forever or I want to work longer, we all assume they're not prepared, which that is some of the rationale. Right. In my case, I like the customer interactions. I like working with people. I like doing stuff like this with you, Doug.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I woke up and didn't have anything to do, like, where's my purpose? And that is the reason a lot of people decide to stay in the workforce. It's stimulating their mind. We've seen studies where as soon as people retire, their sense of value, their personal confidence in themselves, and all these other things that come from working go away.
Yeah.
And I think, I think this is part of the reason my dad wanted to keep working longer. And he actually came back as a professor emeritus. So he is still working just on his terms now.
Right.
And it is the interactions with the kids and the self-worth and people kind of looking up to you as a role model, and also having a schedule. I talk with so many people that when they retire, one of the hardest things is no schedule.
Right.
Think about most people. They've been on the same routine for 40 years. And they wake up one day, they're like, no place I have to be. There's nothing I have to do. There's not a time I have to be up. You got to figure out how to get yourself into like a really good schedule. And I think what goes with that is saying you're going to work forever doesn't mean you don't have to have a plan. It might be a better plan, actually. Like, you have to really plan out what you're going to do. So I think it all goes back to, Doug, if people start to reframe their thought that working forever is fine, let's figure out when we're going to be financially independent. That's what this is really about. Right. And part of it's our job as an industry. We do a bad job. We tell people you have to retire. Well, you don't have to retire. Yeah. You need to figure out when you can be financially independent, whether that's 55 or 60 or 75, whatever. Just figure out what that age is.
Right. And then you can figure out what your why is. That's one of the most important questions you can have out there. You're listening to Roger Abel. I'm your host, Doug Wagner, in the Premier Investments in Wealth Management Program, 1190talkradio.com and on Talk Radio 1190. There are major benefits. If you're doing the planning for financial independence, obviously the whole point is you got the financial plan in the first place, but there's like stepping stones along the way that are huge, especially if you're seniors. I mean, you see a lot of seniors now, they're carrying debt because everybody's carrying a huge amount of debt right now. They're carrying debt into their retirement. That's one of the things you try to work with your clients in order to help make sure they're not carrying a crazy amount of debt into retirement.
Yeah, I think there's one primary thing for retirees to be successful. Number one, you have to have a really good hold of what your budget is. It's virtually impossible to retire and not have a budget unless you've just done such a good job of saving money. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And I like to talk to people about this. It's really hard to recover from a money mistake in retirement. If you make a money mistake when you're 40 years old, buy the car you can't afford, you work a little overtime, get a second job, go sell it, whatever. But if you're 68 and retire and you make a money mistake, it's hard to recover. And one of the things people can really do going into retirement is manage their debt. And this is where you have to look behind the numbers a little bit, and it's not all numerical. I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to say, well, Roger, but my house, the interest rate is 2.75% interest. I don't care. Because when you pay your house off, you eliminate risk.
Right.
That's what debt management is. When you're retired, if you can get debt free, you're eliminating risk from your future retirement plan. Most people are only concerned about risk in their investments. Debt is risk. I don't care what kind. It's another level of risk. So got to get rid of it. 65% of Americans, 65 to 74, still have debt. 75 and older still have debt. What's crazy, if you go back to 1989, only 21% of people had debt. So I think a lot of the debt is fueled by this thought in our world that debt's okay. We've normalized debt as a country.
Right.
I mean,
I'm dead. Let somebody else take care of it after I'm dead.
Yeah.
That's really that idea that comes out of there.
Yeah. I mean, but we've normalized debt. Look at all of the advertisements. You go into a restaurant. What's on the outside? We take Visa, MasterCard, American Express.
Yeah.
Whatever. Why do they put that out there? They want you to know you take a credit card. When you pay with a credit card, what happens? You spend more.
Right. Yeah, you pay with cash. You get a lot of places. You get that 3 to 6% off because they give you that little cash bonus for doing that.
Yeah,
that's a really smart idea over there.
In a world filled with financial complexity, who will help guide you toward a brighter financial future? Look no further than Premier Investments and Wealth Management, your partner in financial success. At Premier Investments and Wealth Management, our commitment goes beyond numbers. It's about understanding your unique goals, dreams, and challenges. Our financial planning process is personalized to help you implement strategies designed with the goal of maximizing your outcomes. Whether it's saving for retirement, building wealth, or preserving your family's future, we've got you covered. Our mission is to simplify the complex world of finance and empower you to make smart, informed decisions. Ready to take control of your financial destiny? Visit www.premieriwm.com to get started. Premier Investments and Wealth Management, where your financial independence begins.
We're talking about retirement and making sure that you are planning for it properly. It's about making sure that you're planning for independence, not for retirement. The financial independence is really so critical, and part of that is understanding what your retirement benefits are. And this is something where you could try this on your own, but odds are you've got a full-time job, and odds are you've got a family that you're dealing with. So why don't you let a professional handle it? Because your time is worth more than handing that off to a financial professional like Roger Abel here.
You can get a result on your own.
Yeah.
It's whether you get a result, you will.
Right.
It's a result. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's a result.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you could just do the default option and take a target date fund and call it good and hope it works out. But what we try to do for the individuals that we work with is remove the words hope, pray. Like, we want to remove those.
Hail Mary.
Yeah, we want to have a level of confidence. And that comes to understanding how benefits work.
Right.
And how they work not just at the company level or at the Social Security level, but how it works with your plan.
Put them all together.
Right. Okay. We have this pot of money, right? People save this pot of money. We maybe have a pension, we have Social Security, we have rental income from a house. How does it all work together? And how do we make sure we do our best to optimize everything in concert with our values, our work ethic versus those of others? If you're just going to say, hey, well, I have a pot of money, I'm going to take Social Security and retire.
Right.
It's a result. I don't know if it's the best result for you.
Yeah. At Premier Investments in Wealth Management, they have a high-end electronic system that puts everything together. It's software related, that they put all of it together, and they run through tens of thousands of different scenarios for your retirement, your financial independence, and it really can help out because unless you're willing to go through a lot of elbow grease and a whole lot of legal pads in about 30 years of your life, you're not going to be able to duplicate what they have. So take advantage of it. PremierIWM.com. Click on Get Started. Once you're there, you answer a few questions. You get the one-page My Financial score, My Financial document. It's like a My Score for your future, for your retirement, for your kids' education, whatever it is. Think of it as making sure you're set for financial independence, not necessarily just for retirement, because the whole thing is you can be free to work as long as you want and not have to worry about having that money in the bank because you've run through the tape at that point by working with somebody like Roger Abel. You can enhance your own happiness at work because, hey, you're there because you want to be, not because you have to be, Roger. And that's one of the huge things is when you're someplace because you want to be there, and it could be anywhere. You could be volunteering. You could take a step down and work, for X number of dollars per hour rather than the big salary that you're working for because you can.
This is an interesting dynamic of what happens when somebody gets a plan. So we work with 2 hospital foundations where we teach educational courses on behalf of the foundation to employees. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we found by doing this, and that the hospitals found as well, employees tend to actually work longer because they know they're okay. And I can probably list at least a dozen instances where we've done a financial plan with somebody. They said, hey, I want to retire at 62. Mm-hmm. And they work till they're 64, 65. Mm-hmm. So there's this increased level of workplace happiness. Yeah. And I think what it comes down to is they know they can retire. Here's the common comment by people who do this process. Yeah. It's a lot easier to go to work when I can tell them I want to quit at any time.
And if you're an employer listening to this on Talk Radio 1190 or 1190talkradio.com, this is something that's important too, because every employee that you get that extra 2, 3, 4 years out of, that's an extra 2, 3, 4 years. You don't have to engage somebody in human resources training, which is onboarding is a huge expense right there. So if you're an employer, you're doing a good job saying, hey, you need to get this done.
Well, look at our situation. If we have to replace an employee, well, I don't know what the shortest tenured employee here is, but it's maybe like 5, 6, 7 years. Most people have been here longer. Some people have been here 25 plus years. Yeah. It's not just replacing them. It's replacing with the right person that can replicate what the previous person did that's going to be here for another 20 years. And that's hard to find today. Yeah. Because I feel like there's this mindset of, hey, just off to the next thing. So from a happiness standpoint, that's what this plan does. It helps employees become happier. You get more productivity from them. And honestly, if you knew you were financially independent and you wanted to work forever, you'd be super happy as long as the employer kept the good environment there. Right. I have a client who's 76 years old working, not because he has to work. He 100% every day. He's an engineer. Says, I just really enjoy working. Yeah. He likes being around the people. He said, I don't know what I would do, and I love my job. He goes, should I retire? I'm like, no, you love your job. Someday you'll retire, and likely it'll be because he needs to. Right. There'll be an event. But there's a lot of things come to light when you put together the plan, Doug.
Couple more financial points we want to make sure that we hit here in the Premier Investments and Wealth Management Financial Program. Doug Wagner along with Roger Abel and Talk Radio 1190. The economy frequently is changing. There's the ebbs and flows. I mean, long term, we say that things will continue to move up, but the whole thing is that there are economic changes that happen, especially when you start working toward your retirement. You start closing that gap between when you say, all right, I'm ready to start prepping for retirement, and when you actually stop doing that, economic changes can make a huge difference. That's why having a financial plan is critical.
Well, it is, and you commented earlier on the technology that we use, and we really take three big pieces of technology and bring them into one, and we try to make the financial planning process very dynamic versus static. And let me explain the difference. 10 years ago, you went and got a financial plan done. You sat down with your planner, you did all the stuff, and it was a good plan. It was created. You went through a 100-page document. They handed you a plan nicely bound up. You took it home. You threw it in the junk drawer, and you never looked at it again. Yeah. That's a static plan. Right. What a dynamic plan is where you're constantly updating, monitoring, and making financial decisions based upon what's currently happening. And part of that, we've been able to evolve because of technology.
Yeah.
Just think about technology. 8 years ago, we didn't do it this way. Too hard. Today, everything integrates together. Somebody comes in, all their accounts are integrated. We can change any of the scenarios with literally a click of the button. So we can have this financial plan that's really coming to life that we can use as, and I coined this a few years ago, your financial decision tree.
Yeah.
When I have an important financial decision, let's model it instead of saying, I think I should do this. Well, I hope this works out. We can quantify it. And one of the biggest things we'll do for people, a lot of times people will want a second house. They want a vacation house. They want to get out of the heat. They want to get out of the cold, wherever they're at. Can I afford to do this? Instead of guessing, we can quantify. We don't like feelings. We like statistical analysis to help make decisions. The other thing that happens when you use the plan, it makes all your long-term goals really clear.
Okay.
You know, I don't think anybody can retire unless you know what a goal is. What's your goal of retirement? If you're just stopping working, okay, but what are you going to do? Like, we need to have a goal for what retirement looks like.
Makes sense. I mean, if you've got grandkids, if you've got kids, if you want to make a big purchase later on, however you want to do. There's some people who say, I want to leave a legacy with my people. There's some people that say, I want to leave a legacy with my money. And one of the strangely most intelligent things I've ever heard anybody say is, I'd rather give money with a warm hand than with a cold hand. If you have the kind of money that you're trying to make a financial legacy for somebody as well as getting your retirement down, you need to contact my friends at Premier Investments and Wealth Management. Very easy to do, premieriwm.com. In the minute or so we have left, Roger, what's the point from there? They click Get Started, they answer the questions, and then they get a Premier one-page Premier Vision document.
Yeah, so
steps from there.
Yeah, so what happens? You can go to the website, click Get Started. We'll get your information. Once we run it through, you'll get a quick My Financial Confidence score. Okay. If you want to go deeper, you can schedule an appointment with one of our advisors, and you can go to premieriwm.com to do that. And we'll walk you through our 5-step planning process of how we get from point A to the point in time where we could tell you what we would do with your money with some level of confidence. Yeah. And the goal of our process is for people to walk away with a better sense of their own personal financial confidence and a better sense of financial direction in the future.
Yeah. And what makes it nice is it's a free, no obligation consultation. So it's something where you can kick the tires. I mean, for free. It's something where it's like taking a car for a test drive. You can take this out. You sit down with them. You have these conversations, because that's really what the whole thing is based upon, Roger, is having a conversation between you and the people you work for, because you're both interviewing each other at this point in time, because you want to see if you're compatible with them and they're compatible with you.
Well, it's probably the most important thing of having an advisor and who you choose. You should both like each other. There's a lot of good planners out there. You should mutually like each other at some level, because I've said for a long time, there's going to be chaos in the market at some point. And the relationship with you that you have with your advisor, the trust level you have with your advisor, will help you get through those times. That's when we become financial counselors versus planners. And it will happen. We just don't know when it's going to get chaotic.
Premier Investments and Wealth Management, premieriwm.com is the website. Like Roger said, you can just go up into the menu. You can arrange your own appointment if you'd like to. But what's the phone number, Roger, in case people want to call and make an appointment?
800-383-6590.
Thanks for listening to and watching on YouTube the Premier Investments and Wealth Management program, Talk Radio 1190 and 1190talkradio.com. I'm Doug Wagner. Have a great week.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments and Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide tax advice. Please consult your tax professional. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal.